danger.
Hey folks, welcome to the Math Podcast. My friend Jacob Blackmon has instructed me on how to chloroform my child to avoid difficult bedtimes. Hey Jacob, how you doing?
Good evening and happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. So it's Halloween Eve. Does it make it Halloween-ing?
Hallows Eve, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I just, I would like to stretch Halloween out to like a full week if I could. That would be magnificent.
I would be in favor of more Halloween. It seems like Halloween's a little speed bump, and then Thanksgiving's a little speed bump. Then there's everything is Christmas for like 6 weeks.
Exactly.
So I could probably do without that. Well, hey, we have some good news that you shared with me earlier today on Facebook, and let's share it with our audience. Jackson Public's Twitter account, Venture Brothers, long form special by Doc Hammer and Jackson Public, second draft, 10/20/21. So the rumors about Venture Brothers coming to HBO Max appear to be true.
Indeed, I could not be happier. It's such a good show. It's so well thought, wonderful characters, wonderful stories. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm so glad they're continuing with it.
Yeah, I just wish it would happen faster. But if previous seasons are anything to go by, we got a couple years to wait. So
yeah.
So
hand-drawn animation takes time.
This is true. So speaking of hand-drawn, what are you drawing tonight, Jacob?
I believe I will be drawing something akin to a pumpkin demon in celebration of our spooky holiday.
Sam Hain of I can't think of any other synonyms for Halloween, but
I am unsure on the correct pronunciation, but I believe it's Savan.
Oh, okay. My Celtic is horribly bad. So, did you know that Celtic, Irish Celtic, as in Gaelic, is hey, Alice Peng is there. Hey, Alice, how you doing?
Hi, Alice. Always good to hear from Alice. I was literally just talking to her about. I recently picked up Tailspire and have been talking about it, and she was like, "What's Tailspire?" I'm pretty sure she knew what Tailspire was, just hadn't been playing with it, and now they picked it up, and apparently, Brandon can't put it down.
So that's an online way of playing classic pen and paper role playing games with your friends online, right?
Yeah, it's a new virtual tabletop that where you can basically build things like you would with those expensive Dwarven Forge pieces, and they've got all sorts of things: buildings, dungeons, landscapes, all sorts of things like that. And you can make tables and dungeons and build what you need for your players to go through, and it's like a 3D environment for them. But they look like little miniatures because they have little miniatures go through them.
I hadn't heard about this.
Tailspire also has a thing where people can make builds of their own, and you can put them up for people to download. But that's not why people are here. People want to see the art. So let me share my screen. Since Walt Rebelliard has said, "Where's the art?" I'm gonna get.
I'm here to see drawing. God damn it!
Yeah.
That wasn't my Walt voice. That was my cranky old man voice, which is different from my Walt voice. I promise.
So yes, anyone who's live or in chat, please feel free, ask me anything, because otherwise I am very quiet when I draw because I'm focused on the art. So otherwise, feel free to just chat away with me, ask me questions, ask me about the art, ask me about anything really. So
and Walt is also about the art. In fact, Walt is all about the art. He tells us, and it's true. Walt is a artist himself. So we're drawing a pumpkin-headed demon, not unlike Pumpkinhead from the classic 80s horror franchise. I don't know if that's true. I'm just making that up. Are we drawing Pumpkinhead?
I am not drawing Pumpkinhead. I am drawing what is basically a demonic figure with a jack-o'-lantern head.
Mm. So Jack Skellington.
Effectively. You know,
Yeah, well,
the Lord Pumpkin from the Ultraverse, the Pumpkin King of Legend, you know, that sort of thing.
okay. Well, Barrett says, is that Manga Studio, in parentheses, Clip Studio?
This is blah, 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 Adobe Photoshop.
Oh, and that's what Alice said. I think it's Photoshop. And that's one no prize to Alice. Way to go, Alice. So is this for a stock art project, or is this for your Black Friday?
No, this is just for because it's Halloween. I'm just drawing this for the fun of it. Okay. I'm sure people may want to use it as stock art, and you know, my stock art fees are entirely reasonable, as you well know.
I have used your stock art many times. Oh, I suppose I should mention our friend J.E. Shields, another RPG artist. He is teamed up with a 3D printer.
Yes, I am all sorts of envious about that.
Yeah, let me see if I can find his. Oh, yeah, here it is. Is this? Oh, that's printable miniatures. I need to find his. Yeah, so he's teamed up with a guy who does 3D printing files, STL files, and they're converting a bunch of JE's stock art to STL files for printing. So
see that's just cool.
Actually, we're gonna have him on a podcast to talk about that. Let me find out what date we settled on for that. So yeah, I'm wondering if we could. I mean, because we use a lot of his art for Pew Pew. I'm wondering if we could do Pew Pew miniatures. But
that would be neat. Yeah.
All right, talking to JR. Let's see. So the 8th of November at 8 p.m. Mountain Time, we will be interviewing JE about his Kickstarter, which will be launching shortly there in that time frame. So yeah, let's see if I can find his link. Oh, there we go. Actually, you know, this is a preview link. I don't know if I can share this. It's a private preview. It would not be cool for me to share it.
That would not be cool. You should hold on to that for later.
But it looks good. It looks cool as heck. It's J.E. Shields art, but done this 3D printings, and I think you should get on some of that action, man. I'd love to see some of your stuff.
I would love for someone to license my art for miniatures. I would love that. But so far, no one has come forward with any interest.
Alice says, Jacob, I love that recent easy centering tool in Photoshop. I know they had one before, but took some hoop jumping before.
I'm sorry, what?
Alice says, Jacob, I love that easy centering tool in Photoshop.
Oh, yeah.
They had one before, but it took some hoop jumping.
Yeah, I didn't quite hear what you had said initially. It was like,
you know, I've been drinking, so sorry about that. That's probably totally my fault.
Enjoy the spirits. It is the season for them.
You gaming these days, Jacob?
I have a couple of games going on. I am running a solo game for my roommate where they are playing they're playing basically a runaway Cambion who was initially born to be a supervillain for their evil cult, their evil magical cult, and didn't want any part of that. They just want to go out and party and have fun, and so when the cult came under attack from some superheroes, they skedaddled and hightailed it to Los Angeles to go and have fun. Also for when one of my friends, Angela, comes into town, I'm running a group game that is set in my Dark Mana science fantasy universe, where they are playing basically a sci-fi rock band.
Well, that's pretty cool. So like Josie and the Pussycats?
More like Gem and the Holograms, only they're playing the Misfits.
Well, the Misfits are more fun, right?
Exactly. The Misfits. Their songs are better.
It's like Betty and Veronica, but with musical instruments. So as we discussed before, you blue line first, kind of like comic book artists do, and then you go back and ink your lines.
Yes. And putting a lot of lines on here to make it look like the fingers and all the other appendages are made of pumpkin vines.
Been really fast here. Do you have any reference material, or did you have a pretty good idea in your head what you wanted to look like?
I just had a really good idea of what I wanted to do here.
Mm-hmm.
So, plus I've done pumpkin monsters in the past quite a bit, so I'm relying on techniques that I've used while producing those things.
Yeah, I can think of one you did. Hang on a second. I'm going to steal sharing for just a moment. We've been doing stuff for so long, Jacob. I forget all of them. But yeah, here, Pumpkin Horror.
Yeah, that's not one of mine, but
I guess one it was. I'm sorry.
No, I think that's one of Jay's.
Oh, okay. I did not realize. Anyway, and there's
the long drapey cloak.
Is this the bad part of drawing cloaks? Having to get all the little creases?
Sometimes, yes. The creases can be overdone in art. They seriously can. Some capes have lots of them, others do not, and it's all just a matter of how crazy does the artist want to go. Some artists go really crazy.
So, favorite Halloween movies, or do you have favorite horror movies instead?
Yeah, I enjoy horror as a genre. Let's see. In terms of vampire movies, my favorite for that is like the original Fright Night and Fright Night 2 from the 80s. Those I think are some of the best vampire movies out there, especially because the people involved know vampires exist. They know the tropes, and so that's what they're working with, trying to figure out how vampires work based on what they know of pop culture. Because I really do get tired of the horror movie where apparently horror movies just don't exist where they come from. No, in zombie apocalypse films, no one's seen a zombie movie. So when the zombies attack, they're like, "What's going on? What are these things?" It's like it's a zombie. We've been doing zombie things since the 60s, I believe, was Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah, they've been in popular consciousness since 1960s in a big way. So, yeah, I mean, obviously existing in myth before that, but yeah, as far as being a huge Hollywood blockbuster thing, at least the 60s. So it's part of the cultural landscape. You would think someone would know to, call it a zombie and go for headshots and that kind of thing. But Did Twilight ruin vampire movies? Because I can't think of one that's been out in a few years.
There have been a couple of good vampire movies recently. I watched a couple that were okay. I'm trying to think of their names. But yeah, there was this new one that I recently watched where this one guy is starting work as a driver, taking wealthy clients to big parties and all that sort of thing, and he takes the job over from his brother, who's usually supposed to be doing it, and what he doesn't know is his brother is a vampire hunter, and that night, some of the people he picks up happen to be vampires.
So is it like a comedic take on it, or?
No, it's a serious movie.
Okay. Yeah, it just seems like we're getting more like What We Do in the Shadows is the last vampire movie I can really think of, and of course that's a sitcom take.
Yeah, I was just watching some of that earlier.
Yeah,
I was finishing up the new season earlier today.
Yeah, it's been okay. I think it's probably the weakest season. I'm still enjoying it.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to keep things fresh because they're playing on certain tropes, but I do like the fact that they have been expanding their world to include things, and pretty much have been since the beginning, to include things other than the standard. There's more than vampires. We've seen werewolves, and this season we saw a siren.
Oh God!
They delved into mythological monsters, not classic horror monsters.
It's like Fran Drescher as a Staten Island siren. It was
yeah.
It was entertaining. The internet troll, who was actually a troll, I like that too.
Yeah, that was fun.
I like the fact that they kind of just, spoiler alert, finale of season 2. Their human personal assistant kills most of the senior vampires in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, what's going to happen in season 3? And season 3, they say, well, hey, since you killed everybody else, I guess you guys are in charge now. Which that almost seems like the logic for a vampire campaign, but there you go.
Yeah.
You killed the old boss, so you're the new boss. So what about you in the comments? Alice and Walt, if you're still there, you guys have favorite horror movies you're watching this time of year?
But other than that, for horror movies, I don't know. I like a lot of different things. I'm not big on slasher movies, although I have watched and enjoyed some in the past. It's just not my favorite genre in horror. I prefer actual horror stuff. Like I like ghost stories, that sort of thing.
Yeah, there was a Fright Night remake in 2011.
Yeah, and it was good.
Okay.
It was good. I just preferred the 80s version.
Yeah, fair enough. I didn't even know it existed. That's kind of the guy from McLovin from what movie was McLovin from, Jacob?
I don't know. I didn't see it.
Superbad. McLovin from Superbad's a vampire in there apparently. So
okay.
Oh, looks like Alice is leaving us.
Bye,
see
Alice.
you Monday, Alice. See ya Monday, Alice. Sorry, drinking. That is a cool looking pumpkin.
Thank you.
Do you have to worry too much about with the vertical strikes getting a Dormammu vibe, or not so much?
Well, honestly, now that I think about it, that's probably how they came up with Dormammu.
Yeah.
If you think they probably looked at a jack-o'-lantern and said, put some stripes on it. There. Now he's an interdimensional conqueror.
Fair enough. I am looking forward to that next Doctor Strange movie, but whew, boy, they pushed all those releases back.
Yeah. That is, well, it's understandable. Problematic, but understandable.
Yeah, COVID's no fun, but it's a reality. So what can you do? I like the alfalfa haircut. That's kind of a cool touch.
I was going for horns, but I'll take it.
All right. That works too.
All right. I think the line work is done here. Just need to expand the canvas so I can do a little more effects shot that I'm wanting. That should be good. Get rid of the blue. Yep, that's good. All right.
Okay, well, if Walt's still watching, let's talk about the process a little bit. So we did the blue lines. Now we went to ink the lines. So
Yep.
now we're putting in color layers, right?
Now I'm working on colors.
It's the dark orange. Okay, we're gonna have a couple different colors for fire there, right?
Yeah.
All right. And the proverbial, in this case, actual fire in the belly.
And yes, it's a whole lot of Kirby dots to get this look the way it does.
No, it's all good, man. I wasn't sure they were Kirby dots, so I wasn't going to say that until you spoke up. So it's a cool look, though. So what color are you going to make the horns?
They will probably be, greenish, brownish vine,
Fine color.
Like pumpkin vines are.
We have a name for this guy yet?
He may go for the classic Samhain or Savan. Just to, name recognition is big among monsters and supervillains. So might as well use the good names before someone else does and snatches up the .com domain.
It's easy to discount the importance of name recognition and marketing for supervillains and demons. Because Sam Hain, or people know who you are, Terrence, they're confused for a second there at first.
Exactly.
I am Bethany, Lord of the Undying. Just doesn't have that same kind of oomph as Mephistopheles or Sam Hain might. Oh, that is some cool blur effect on your fire. I like that.
Thank you. I have done a lot of fire effects over the years, so I've learned how to do this real quick. Okay. Just a little more orange here. And as usual, it's all about layers. Layers make all the magic happen.
So who'd be the voice actor for this guy in the animated version?
If I had my whim, I'd probably go Tim Curry.
Okay. I was going to suggest Willem Dafoe, but Tim Curry works too, obviously.
Now, just a matter of what kind of Tim Curry. Goofy Tim Curry? Darkness Tim Curry? There's so many Currys to potentially use.
I like those quippy, funny kind of villains, so I'm tempted to go with the funny Tim Curry.
Yeah.
Sort of like the Loki version of Sam Hain. But
I could see that.
yeah. Do you know, speaking of Loki, Tom Hiddleston was in a movie where he played Hank Williams Jr.? Sorry, Hank Williams Sr.
Huh.
Yeah, it bombed really hard. And Hank Williams' grandson refused to see it. Because he didn't think an Englishman could capture what his grandfather was all about.
Well, I did not see it, so I cannot comment on it. Other than saying I think Tom Hiddleston is a fine actor, and
Oh yeah, that wasn't all love for Mr. Hiddleston. I just you usually think, all right, well he's a big star in the MCU, and he does this movie, and it's kind of like, wow, no one saw it. It seems like it faded from view pretty fast. But of course, you had half the Marvel universe in that food truck movie Jon Favreau made.
yeah, that is certainly the truth.
Which I thought was fun, but I'm a fan of food trucks and Cubanos and Jon Favreau. So
yeah, watching that movie is how I learned to make Cubanos. I love Cubanos, but I kind of looked at what was in it, but when you actually watch him make them, he's like, I could do that, and I started making Cubanos at home, and they're delicious.
Oh, they're great. Yeah, it's nice to have a movie about something, even if it's something as simple as here's a really cool sandwich, and here's running a food truck with my son, and
yeah,
kind of grounded.
Well, the movie did have a message, and it was about how social media affects people whether or not they know how to use it. Because at the beginning of the movie, his character did not know how to use social media at all, and it was detrimental to his career. He got fired over it because he made a big challenge to a food critic online, and it cost him his job.
Yeah, it reminds me, I got a survey from Facebook today asking how I felt about their company. It's an odd feeling because I use them a lot, mainly for promoting this podcast or the occasional RPG release, but yeah. I kind of hate them.
Yeah, I get it. There's okay. I see what we did.
How do you keep your layers straight? Seems like it'd be super easy to.
It's not. Sometimes you're doing something and like, I was on the wrong layer. Oh God. In this particular instance, the layer that I put this particular color on at first, while it was a mistake, was not a huge mistake. So it's okay. It still got the effect I was looking for. So it's not a bad thing. But there are those times you're like, I was drawing on the background layer the entire time. The background layer. Oh Lord, no. I have to start from the very beginning. That sort of thing.
Is that when you decide it's time to turn off the computer for the night and go
Yes, that's usually when you either have to start over completely because you're on a deadline, or just walk away because the frustration will get to you otherwise.
I was saying there have been no real vampire movies since the Twilight series ended in 2012. But I'm looking, and I guess that was a silly thing to say because there's always a horror movie about almost any subject you can think of.
Oh,
Sometimes they're straight to video or straight to streaming, but good Lord.
Oh, yeah. Vampires versus the Bronx. That is a good comedy vampire film. It's a comedy horror. I recommend it. It's a fun movie to watch, and for those who like the Buffyverse, the vampires in that movie kind of follow Buffy vampire rules in what their powers are like, how they function, and how they die.
So it looks like we've got 2020. And oh, hey, Method Man's in that. I haven't seen him since The Wire. That's cool. Sean Wiggum from Boardwalk Empire. Are all the vampires white folks in this one?
Yes.
Okay.
The idea is the vampires are gentrifying the Bronx, and they're coming in as trying to make the neighborhood better. All the while they're really there to prey on the urban population, and the Bronx is not about to have that.
So is it going for kind of a blaxploitation vibe, or more just social commentary wrapped up in a action comedy?
There's some social commentary, but mostly it's an action comedy.
Okay.
I found it entertaining. It was fun. The characters are mostly kids, but they're not annoying kids. There's no Kennys in there that you just want to.
You bastard! You killed Kenny. You seen the new Ghostbusters movie, or is that even out for anybody yet?
I don't believe it's out yet. If it is, it's nowhere that I've been able to watch.
Ghostbusters Afterlife, November 19th. Sorry, I've been seeing reviews for it. I assumed it was out, but it's not out for
a couple of months. Everything interesting is coming out soon, just not now.
Yeah.
Because the new He-Man Revelations soon. Yeah. Right now, all we've got is Squid Game, and I have absolutely zero interest in Squid Game.
I watched The Running Man back in the day, so I've got the basic plot. But yeah, my wife watched it on YouTube, and she really enjoyed it. So, and all of a good percentage of my kids' third grade classmates have watched it and are talking about it at school. So, boo for their parents, but. And Morbius is coming out in 2022. In January. So yeah, coming out very soon. Although, I don't know, God bless Jared Leto, but I don't know how enthusiastic I am about that one.
Yeah, I get it.
So.
Yeah, I'm especially after all the things that I heard he'd been doing on the set of Suicide Squad, and he is apparently just a dick. So I'm not exactly thrilled or interested in seeing the Morbius film. And more to be honest, not a character I find hugely interesting in terms of Spider-Man villains.
Yeah, I think he probably works best in a Spider-Man book. I mean, we kind of done the heroic vampire thing a lot.
Exactly. If you're trying to do a heroic vampire, we've got. I'll go watch the Underworld films.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there are so many better films that do it, and have better actors than Jared Leto. So I have little interest. I'll watch it
Mm-hmm.
because I tend to absorb all superhero media eventually because of the superpowered legends. It helps inspire me for that. But I'm not going to go to the theater and pay for it. I'll watch it when it comes out in streaming.
Fair enough. Well, the rumor is that the new Blade movie is coming out in October of 2022, so 1 year from now, with Mahershala Ali. So
That could be fun.
It could be. I don't know that we need a new Blade movie, although certainly there's a lot of cool things you can do with that concept.
Well, I want him to be British.
Mm.
I really wish this is why I wish they had gotten Boyega to play him, because I think Boyega would have been a great Blade, especially with his actual voice. I don't know if you've ever heard his voice.
Yeah,
he sounds like Idris Elba's cousin.
Yeah. I'd be up for it. Although, I mean, if we're just looking at the Marvel characters, Morbius has a lot in common in Blade, and we're really psyched about that movie, and we're kind of like, meh, Morbius. So,
yeah.
Although, yeah, I guess the actor has part to do with it because Mahershala Ali, you don't get the creepy vibe from him that you get from Jared. Well, that is looking good, Jacob.
Thank you. Pretty much done with the colors. Now getting on the shading and highlighting in.
There's a lot of good art inspiration around Halloween that just isn't there for, say, Thanksgiving or Christmas.
I know, because people are always talking about, well, we can do a Halloween one shot or a Christmas one shot, and there's all that. And it's like, there's no Thanksgiving one shots, because let's celebrate the genocide of the native population.
I think, as much as I feel weird about Joss Whedon these days and enjoying his previous work, they did a pretty good Thanksgiving episode on Buffy that I think, kind of, if not dealt with that stuff, and kind of nodded to it.
Mm-hmm.
And oh shit, Rick and Morty. Did you see their Thanksgiving episode this year?
I am not caught up on Rick and Morty now, so I have to wait for it to come on a streaming service that I have.
Well, I catch it on iTunes. It's not. I mean, it's they I can't talk about it without spoiling it for you, but
that's fine.
They do kind of an absurd deconstructionist take on it. And at one point, everyone turns into turkeys.
Okay. Well, they turned everyone to Cronenberg's once. So.
Yeah. They turned Rick into a pickle. So I like the shading on the. We call those shoulder spikes.
Yeah.
All right, shoulder spikes. So would you think of this guy as more of a fantasy villain or a modern day superhero villain, or maybe
he
could do double duty, either one of those settings?
With the outfit he's wearing, he could easily do double duty. He could work in a fantasy setting, work in a superhero setting pretty easily. But he's definitely going for the heavy, dark magic garb. You know, I am a creepy supernatural villain.
Yeah, I think Slipknot starts playing when he walks into the room. He's that kind of villain. Well, musical entrances are important, right?
Exactly.
If wrestling has taught nothing else, and I don't think it has, it's that musical entrances are an important thing.
Yeah, I saw a thing on Facebook today on one of the D&D pages I follow where they were saying, "All right, you're the big bad villain. You're about to have the fight with the heroes. Number 1, what do you say to them before the fight begins? Number 2, where is your fight taking place? And number 3, what is the music that's playing during the fight?" And because I was in a silly mood at the time, I gave silly answers, with the exception of the music choice, because I have a particular piece of music that I love using for big boss fights.
What's that?
The piece of music is called Pompeii, by the group E.S. Posthumous. And it is just amazingly evocative of something big and important is happening now, like a big boss battle.
Cool. I haven't heard that one before.
It really has that big boss fight energy to it. You know, like, okay, we've played. Sephiroth has just shown up.
With a name like Sephiroth, he's probably not here from DoorDash.
But because I was silly, my answers to the other questions were like, "Why are you here? It's my day off. Are we really fine?" And the battle was taking place in an abyssal strip club filled with succubi and incubi.
So somewhere in Jersey. That's cool. I'm too mean to Jersey. That was low-hanging fruit. Sorry, folks.
Hey, Jersey can be fun for its tropes, because I follow a lot of games on Dimension 20. That's done through the Dropout TV channel. And one of the most recent games that they just finished deals with the 7 princesses who were NPCs in one of their original campaigns, but they decided to do a campaign where they were the heroes. And one of the players made her princess. She was a dwarven cleric of the creator smithing god, who she described her as Jersey mansion trash. and she did the accent, and she was always wearing the bling and overly done makeup, and it was just glorious. There are clips of them that you can find on YouTube. They're just I chuckle and laugh every time I watch them. They're just fun to watch.
That reminds me, I believe we are doing episode 2 of Castles and Crusades on Banff, noon Monday. So
yes,
be there or be square. Are you going to be there, Jacob, or are you be playing Brokar's deity from the comment section?
I may finally be able to start joining in some of the games again, because just yesterday I finished the last huge project that I had. So I took today off for relaxation purposes, and of course I'm taking tomorrow off because it's Halloween. But otherwise, starting Monday, I'm just working on regular stuff. I don't have any huge projects to do anymore. I've got small projects. I'm wrapping up the last few art pieces for the Book of Passion bestiary that I was working on with Christina Stiles, and I've got some Patreon art pieces. Other than that, I have no major big projects in the queue. I am currently clear and free of massive projects. So, but this usually happens around Thanksgiving and Christmas for me. Things start to slow down like that. So we'll see how it goes. Once people hear this and it's like, Jacob has free time, we can't have that. They'll start throwing stuff at me.
And hopefully some of that stuff they're throwing at you is currency.
I certainly hope so, because I do not work for exposure. I have plenty of exposure. What I need is money to pay bills.
How about burritos?
Burritos I count in the bill paying, necessities, food, lodging, clothes, bills.
I'm just kidding. I won't try to pay you in burritos.
I appreciate that. But, if we ever actually meet in person and you want to take me to a burrito place, I'm not adverse to it.
That works. I took Jason Tonder out to a deli when he was here for a comic convention a couple times.
Was it Jason's Deli?
No, it was it was Denver Comic Con back in the before days. And back then he was an academic focusing on comic books. So he was out to present or listen to lectures and whatnot. And it's if you don't know it, there's this whole field of academia focused on comic books. And they go to comic cons and have their own little shadow panels that the average fandom isn't aware of.
Yeah, I love talking with Jason. Mm-hmm. It's one of the reasons I love being on the Banff, is just talking about superheroes and comics is literally something I can do all day in discussions of the ethics and morality and psychology and storylines, and because there's just, for example, today someone on the Mutants Who Mastermind thread was commenting about they're creating their first character for M&M. Great, lovely. Welcome to M&M. I forget your name. I'm sorry, I'm not great with names. But he was mentioning his background, and it's like he was raised from childhood by a secret covert government organization to be an assassin. And I'm like, how is this character going to be a superhero? Because assassins are traditionally chosen by secretive organizations and government organizations because they have a certain moral ambiguity. that they don't mind killing people. Whereas superheroes, on the other hand, are people of strong moral conviction.
Well, I mean, in fairness, I mean, we've got lots and lots of superheroes from the 90s. Deadpool maybe being the most visible example, who've got very flexible moral codes about that kind of thing.
I do not consider Deadpool to be a hero. Just like I don't consider Punisher to be a hero. These are characters that operate in the superhero genre, but they are not heroes.
But they're in the genre, and you could certainly...
They are vigilantes, anti-heroes at best, but usually vigilantes.
You could emulate them with the very fine Mutants and Mastermind 3rd Edition rule set from our friends at Green Ronin.
Absolutely. All right. Oops.
Is this the fire glow on the inside of his thumb?
Yes, indeed.
You know, speaking of superhero RPGs, once upon a time I was fairly conversant with everything in the field. During COVID, I've gotten slack.
Well, unfortunately, then a lot of superhero RPGs hit the market very quickly, and much like anime, it became hard to keep up with because if you were a follower of particular genres in the past, up until I want to say 1995, you pretty much knew everything about that particular genre. If you were anime, you knew all the major animes. You probably watched most of them, or at least heard of them and knew what they were about. Now that's no longer the case. You can't possibly watch and keep up with all the anime out there. You can't possibly read and keep up with all the comics that are out there and all the superheroes and all the RPGs. It's not possible anymore. With self-publishing and drive-through RPG and those where people can make their own games and get them out to the public, it's not possible to keep up with anything and everything.
Yeah, there was, let's see, is this running right now? No, it's already funded. S5E, it's superhero role-playing 5th edition. It's Sigil Entertainment, funded earlier this year. And yeah, I didn't even know about this till I was Googling just now. I came across it. So.
Okay. I think we're done.
Sweet. That looks pretty good, man.
Thank you.
Well, Jacob, always a pleasure. Thanks to Alice and Walt, our vocal commentators. Thanks for anyone else out there watching. And we will catch you next time on the Banff Podcast.